is on the topic Emerging Global Threat Landscape and Building Dynamic Defense Strategies. For this, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Mahesh Kumar, who is the CTO and CISO for NextWealth. Giving a brief introduction, Mahesh is a thought leader with an experience of more than 25 years across information security, information technology, and investment banking. With a stint as a serial entrepreneur, Mahesh has the leadership experience of building and running companies through ideation, strategy, rollout, operation, and overall execution. At NextWealth, as a CISO and CTO, he is responsible to ensure continuous availability of the infrastructure and protecting data at all times. With this, please welcome Mr. Mahesh with a huge round of applause.
Good evening. It's wonderful to be present amidst of you. Just taking off, how many of us are aware what is happening at All India Institute of Medical Sciences? As we speak, we are in a security conclave. There's been a ransomware attack and the servers are down for the last 24 hours and it's yet to come back. So that's the significant part of the subject that we are going to talk today. As a CISO, one of the most important responsibility of all of us is to make data protected at all times, whether it's at rest, whether it's at work, or whether it's at transit. So today, all the slides that I'm going to talk about, there could be a repetitive information. Wherever there is, I'm going to talk about incremental inputs. Otherwise, I'll stress more upon the approach that we at NextWealth have taken in terms of building the security practice and how we are protecting the data. Can I just get the slide? All right, we have seen various attack surfaces being mentioned by my earlier colleagues. So I'm going to stress on only a few of them which are going to be significantly noted. The first thing is supply chain. We have a lot of CISOs here from the manufacturing industry as well as from the IT industry. The most challenging factor is how do you integrate OT and IT. The supply chains are the most vulnerable today. That is one of the major attack surfaces that are going to emerge in the near future. We have 5G, IIoT, again, not just IoT. IoT would mean home-related appliances or B2C, but we are talking about B2B. There's going to be a huge plethora of threats that are going to come in the 5G area. The hybrid way of working, unless we upgrade ourselves, there are going to be huge amount of exposures. Various kind of platforms that are emerging for trade and commerce, they are going to be a biggest threat for the business in terms of the vulnerabilities that they're going to face. And crypto, definitely, we are seeing various kind of erosions that are happening. A lot of it has not come out, but with future investigations, it could be one of the major threats that we have encountered so far. In terms of the threat landscape beyond the surfaces that we saw, APTs are one of the most advanced methods that people are using now. The ransomware threat I just quoted about All India Institute of Medical Sciences. We are seeing OT-related risks that are emerging, especially in the weaker side of the supply chain, where you have service centers, your dealers, your partners, and your third-party entities who are going to work with you. And emerging digital platforms where they are being built, and there could be a lot of vulnerabilities that can come through that. Work from anywhere model, as we evolve with the hybrid and blended way, there are more threats that are going to emerge. Bring your own devices, a simple device that you're all carrying today. How many of us are protected with our email? We think we have a good antivirus, or we may have an EDR equivalent on the mobile, but trust me, majority of us who are transacting email on the mobile are not well protected. A simple file of your board presentation can get leaked out. That is the kind of vulnerabilities we are talking about. Social engineering, wishing, we are getting encountered on a day-to-day basis. Tech stack and code vulnerabilities, those in the product can easily identify. One release can throw up the entire protection for a toss. And zero-day and advanced threats are emerging more and more. There are more innovative methods. As much as nuclear science can be used to fuel energy, the same equivalent of AI/ML can be used for destructive purposes, and that is being seen today. Geopolitical attacks, these are large, this is a large issue because it could be state-sponsored. It's not just individual-driven, but it's a state-sponsored, which could be a massive threat to targeted entities. So in terms of why this slide, while we all know how an attack cycle can occur, right? So in the reconnaissance is the stage where we see most of the actors trying to understand, trying to see whether they can, what are the metrics that they can use to enter your perimeter. And second stage is the weaponization, right? They are trying to see which one will work, what kind of weapons should be aligned, what kind of methods and techniques should be used. So then you have delivery, exploitation, command, control, and execution. The gist of this particular slide is the efforts that are going to be involved. The previous sessions that we have seen, it's very easy to contain when you are early in the cycle. So which means that at the reconnaissance stage, if you are able to prevent through various methods, that's the lowest effort. But as you go up in the cycle, it's going to become very high, and at a certain point of time, it's very, very critical for you to even protect yourself, forget the recovery. So if it means that 24 hours and we are not, the entire outpatient systems are down, that is exactly the stage which has been executed. So we do not know what is the method of recovery, whether there's been a backup, whether people are going to pay ransom or they have to completely rebuild. So that is a classic example of the attack cycle and what can be done to mitigate. So some trends quickly. While we saw various statistics, 83% had some kind of incident or the other in this year so far. And definitely a critical part of the infrastructure is affected, and 60% of the organization had to increase the prices in some way or the other. The moment you build in costs, obviously your prices definitely go up. And 19% of the breaches occurred because there is a compromise due to a business partner, which could be a supply chain, or it could be a vendor, or it could be a partner. Giving a dimension, while we have seen various numbers being put, I would like to contextualize this because these numbers are important when you go for a cyber insurance, especially if you are serving a client in a contract which you are to insure against any cyber threats. These are the very important dimensions. Specific to India, it's about 2.32 million, which is roughly around 18 or 19 crores per data breach. So at the minimum, you have to insure yourself against about 18 to 20 crores to protect against any incidents. And there's a wide coverage that is available. This is one of the important factors that one need to consider when you're looking at defense methods. Why? Because when you are looking at building a defense strategies, there's a money involved and there's a cost involved when you bring in the red teams, when you bring in various kind of tools to defend your attack. So that is a time when you have a contingency to protect you. So these are some of the practices that can help a company as you mature and as you travel. One is making training and awareness across multiple functions. A simple ignorance can cause a havoc, right? An insider threat is far more dangerous than protecting against an external attacker. And getting the board level visibility, as we've heard before, is the most important part of the entire journey. Integrating the silos and being able to monitor through various tools and methodologies stand prime most. And governance is important. While you have the strategy approved, how do you govern it across multiple functions? We have different functional heads, we have different mid-level managers, and we have people on the floor. How do you integrate all of them? That is the most important part. And making sure that risk assessments are being done by third parties, right? So open up yourself for third-party assessments that can ensure you are being evaluated against the best benchmarks is the most and the best way to judge yourself where you stand. We saw earlier metric-based journey, and I think I can tie it up here saying that if you get assessed by a third party, that's the best approach. And the regulatory and legislatory compliance is important. All of us serve our clients, and the more you compliant, the better you are recognized, and that goes in a great way for your credibility and value. And in terms of identity and access management becomes prime most. Who accesses what is one of the important factors in an organization when you're handling data. And definitely one of the key factors in defense is the threat intelligence. While there might be various tools, various knowledge, certs, attack, mitra and all, but it's always important to adopt the threat intelligence that is going to be helpful. So in short, what is that you can build as a dynamic defense? So there's nothing, according to me, that you can prevent yourself like a shield that every attack can be defended. You can have your best practices. The right way would be to have your fundamentals in place, right? So know your assets. A lot of times we get covered up in expansion, in in various programs that you fail to recognize which are the assets. If you're a development, if you're a product company, you may have some repository exposed somewhere which is sitting without anybody's attention, which becomes your weakest point. So it's always important to understand every asset of yours, physical or digital. Then allow only what traffic is required. This is very, very simple, but very, very important. Allow only what is required. Do not entertain unwanted traffic. That is the most fundamental by nature. We may think we have an explicit deny on the firewall, I'm having all this on the WAF. No, but make sure that this is consistently followed across, because even one link can actually make you vulnerable across your entire IT infrastructure. We heard earlier, layer defense is the best way. Build multiple layers, build segmentation, so that there are no lateral movements even in case there is an attack. And definitely use AI/ML powered products today. While we heard that AI is not much used today, there are products where AI is being used, ML is used to power it. Use those to correlate and build the intelligence that can help you defend yourselves. And be proactive and preventive. So there's no harm in actually conducting every month an internal audits, even if it costs you money. Make sure that you're tying up those vulnerabilities, stitching it, and ensuring that it is completely transparent, and have your peer to review you. So that way you're closing the vulnerabilities and making sure that you're secure. And definitely building security orchestration, simulate the attacks, right? So today there are n number of possibilities that you can actually use to simulate various threat models or threat actors. Simulate and see how you can get the red team to support you, or build your own internal teams to support this entire approach. So at NextWealth, we are a for-social, for-profit company. We are based out of tier 2 towns, and our vision has been to create jobs. It started by Dr. 𝗕𝗂𝗏 𝗵𝗏 along with Mr. Anand Talwai and 𝗕𝗂𝗏. Here we have 4,500 people working across 6 different towns in India. Trust me that security is not just in the metros of a country. If you visit any of our centers, you'll be surprised to see we run a HIPAA compliant, a PCI DSS certified center, SOC 2 Type 2 compliant operations in Salem and in other centers of our country. So the world is talking about tier 2 towns today, when post-COVID, but this model started 12 years back, right from tier 2 towns. And 55% of our employees are women. There's a great social impact that we have created. Not only we deliver the metrics, but we ensure that there's a change in people's lives, not only of our employees and their family. So we deliver IT and BPM services. We deliver services to some of our customers which are security oriented, which means that unless you're PCI DSS compliant, you cannot deliver. Unless you're HIPAA compliant, you cannot deliver those services. That's where we differentiate ourselves. And in terms of verticals, we are in retail, we are in healthcare, we are in IT, and we are in BFSI. And our model is unique. It encourages entrepreneurship, and I will be happy to discuss more about how we can synergize and work together. One, we have a lowest attrition rates, and by virtue of being located in tier 2 towns, the culture as well as the kind of domain knowledge and the depth that is there, that has helped us to evolve and retain the talent. And not only that, we deliver at a low cost with a higher value, and there's a huge amount of social impact and stories that we have. This is my last slide. Just want to take you through, being a small company, if we have to compete against the global best, we had to go through a journey, and this is the journey we have been. Right from the board level, we set up the context and leadership, like earlier speakers spoke about. It's important to get the board level visualization, build the organization culture, make sure that we are evaluating and getting the direction on a continuous basis, get audited by ourselves as well as by third parties, making sure that we are preventing security. We are definitely very, very sensitive to any kind of incidents and risks, and we have tools, methodologies deployed, which are continuously tested. We do threat hunting, log monitoring, all the tick marks are there. Yes, we may get attacked, but we are prepared to face it. As Mike Tyson says, you get to know what it is only when you're punched on your face. And I would say that with all this, in terms of ability to detect and orchestrate and measure, We have done the best that is possible, and we continue to protect the data at all times. Having said this, I would like to thank you for the opportunity. If there are any questions and if there's a time, I'll be happy to take them.
Great. Thanks a lot, sir.